So Katie and I are taking a break from our busy day. Katie's been in the basement in her shop just slaving away, getting stuff done. I've been upstairs putting up food, and my house is a wreck. It's driving me crazy, but this time of the year you've got so many different things going in different places. It's hard to have clean counters and not stuff sitting in the floor everywhere in the kitchen, from jars to a box of peaches, that wonderful gift from Pastor Lon and his wonderful wife Robbie Lynn they gave us. And then I've got a bowl full of apples, a giant bowl. When I say, it's probably half a bushel of apples that I've got something to do with. I've got tomatoes and things on the counter. We've got vinegar going. We've got kefir water going. We've got into kefir water, and I'll do a video about it eventually, but right now we just don't know enough about it to know what we really like. We think we're getting closer though.
What is this? Because that might be my favorite yet. What is this?
That was lemon balm.
Oh, this is the lemon balm?
Yeah. Yeah. So we started out,
so good.
We ate supper with some of our friends, and they had kefir water, and it was so wonderful. That's why we decided we wanted to try it. So the first ones we tried, Corey got, and I'm not sure where she got, the little kefir grains, and mostly all the kefir I've ever known about was kefir, like, think of buttermilk, more a dairy kefir. Yeah, it's not buttermilk, but a dairy, and I didn't care for it. Anyway, but the first ones Corey got, we seemed to just not be able to, they didn't have much power to them. So then we got some other ones, and I'll share that information, especially in a future video when we figure out how we want to do it. And they were really powerful, and the little grains were bigger, and
they're just really strong. It means that your kefir will be a lot stronger batch.
And the directions that they come with suggested it's kefir is like a, I guess it's like a bacteria, like a fermentation. It aids it, gets it started. Think of a sourdough or something like that.
A starter, yeah.
Yeah, so, but you need to feed it. So the second ones that worked better, the directions were to mix sorghum and also sugar with it. So that's what we've been doing, and then it eats all that. Then what you're left with is not so much sweet as it is kind of a bubbly fermentation,
a little bit sour, yeah.
And then you
wangy.
Add that you drain it off and restart your kefir, and then you can flavor it and let it ferment again, and then that's what you drink. Well, we were doing that, and the first time was really, really good, but then after several days it just got so strong. So then I was like, okay, what could I do different? I thought, well, okay, I'll just leave the sorghum out. So we've just been doing it with sugar. And then we like it a lot better. So our favorite so far is ginger. We love the ginger.
I love ginger.
The lemon balm turned out really good. Tastes almost like Sprite, don't it?
It tastes like Sprite.
But better. Yeah. And then Katie come up with the other favorite one, was cucumbers and lime. Now that was really good.
Yeah, I really like that.
So anyway, that's an ongoing process. When we ever feel like we've got it really down, we will definitely share that with you. So in addition to being busy with all that kind of stuff, I've personally been busy I'm writing a cookbook with my dear friend Jim Cassida. He's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Appalachia, especially Southern Appalachia, and he's a writer by profession. That's his profession. So he's an outdoor writer, so you might be familiar with his works. Very prolific, very well known, and we've been dear friends for a long, long time, and he's always encouraged me to do a cookbook, and wanted me, finally I think he thought, well, she's never going to do it unless I really goad her and help her. So I think he took some pity on me to help me. But I'm really pleased with how I think it's going to be a great cookbook. We both co-authored it, but based around the traditions of the Southern Appalachian Mountains and the foodways, and I think it's really going to be nice. So we're in those last stages of it now, of actually getting it to the printer. And I can tell more about it later, but it's a book company that will put it in lots of different bookstores, so I'm sure you'll be able to find it near where you live. Of course, you'll be able to buy it directly from me or from Jim, either one, if you're a follower of Jim. Are you making faces? Or
no, I was just like, that's right.
Oh, that's right. I was like, because I could see Katie over here. So I've been really excited about that, but really busy with it too. Working on a lot of the photos, and so we think we've about got it all tied up. So
Been
that's
doing it
wonderful.
for a long time.
Long time, yeah. There'll be other little things that we have to do, of course, before it's published, and we hope that they'll publish it sometime in 2023, but we'll keep you updated on that. But that's been really exciting, but also really busy, a really busy time. Added into the summer of all the putting up food, and I think I've put up more this year. I always put up stuff,
I
but
think you've probably put the most you ever put up this
probably, and part of that is that Corey, because she's married now, she's wanting to do that for her home. So a lot of the time I've spent helping her.
Trying to show her.
Yeah, and Corey and Katie both grew up. You've always had to help, you know, since you were little, and injured yourself with the knife. Katie did with her putting up corn one time.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but so they've always helped, just like I always helped Granny and Pap. But when you're actually doing it yourself, it's different. Then you're like, oh, like when you're just helping, and we're like, here, go do this, and you don't really think about the other process.
Why?
Yeah. So anyway, Corey's learned a lot this year, and we've put up more because she's really excited about putting up stuff for the future. So that's been really fun too. In the process of all the putting up food and all the cooking videos that I do, a lot of you already know, and because the last update, I think I shared that, is that our stove died, our flat top stove, smooth top, glass top stove died, and we had to replace it. Well, Matt and I both didn't want another one of those, and the main reason is because if you have one, you know it regulates the heat. It regulates, so it goes up and down, on and off, on and off. So we went back with the traditional coal stove is what we got, and we've really enjoyed it. Now, when we first bought it, it's thanks to a wonderful subscriber tipped me off about this when we first bought it, and then we soon realized they were exactly right. It come with elements, but the elements had a little, what do you call it, little thing in the middle that kind of bounced up and down.
Like a little spring housing of some
yeah,
kind, and it did the same thing.
And we wondered, why is it like that? But, you know, we cooked on it a few days or whatever, and then Matt began to realize, and I did one day when I was going to start a water bath, and I thought, why is it taking so long? What's the deal here? Well, it was the same thing. Those little stove elements had a sensor in it that was making it turn down and then
regulating. I was like, that's not helping.
So we were like, well, and a subscriber told us that would probably happen, and they told us there was a fix. You just go get you some of the old-timey elements and put them in there. So that's what we did. So since then, we've really enjoyed it.
That thing will cook. It's not like waiting. It's like it'll burn your food in a hurry. You don't have 5 minutes to go to the toaster. I've learned.
Yeah, you don't.
Trust me.
But, you know, I believe in safety things, but I also believe for somebody like us, that's me especially, but even Katie and Corey and especially Matt, that's really used to cooking. If you turn it on high, that means you want it on high. You want to do, like in boiling water, you want it to boil.
To get along.
You don't want it to have to go down and then go back up and then take a long time. And I would think it's more energy efficient if you just get it to high and do what you got to do and then be done.
Then quit.
Instead of it taking so long to regulate itself.
I would think that too.
To where it's actually boiling the water.
And as far as the safety goes, I mean, you have to do what you're comfortable with, but just be careful.
Yeah,
just watch what you're doing.
Cooking is,
be careful.
You have to be careful. That's
Don't be not paying attention. Don't text and cook. Yeah. Don't text and drive. I'm the world's worst to text and not pay attention and burn what I'm cooking.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's a lot of people have asked me in more recent videos, and our other one stove died. So, but we've been very pleased. Corey's off in the yard waving at us. So
sexy breakdancing.
Yeah, she's actually trying to break dance. She could have been in this too, but she didn't get here until after we'd kind of already got started.
She's walking the dog.
Yeah, she's walking Olive. But so I've been super busy doing that. Of course, me and Matt both been busy with still with the garden. It's kind of on its way out, but we've been busy planting the fall garden and planting stuff. We're already thinking about next year. If you watch all of our videos, you'll know about my dreams of not having any grass by next year. I know that likely won't happen.
Yeah, you
missed that.
No grass. What are you talking about?
Katie's missed it. We want to have no grass. We don't want to have to mow or weed eat. So we want to be growing food everywhere. I think I just heard Corey say, what?
No grass. What's the dog going to eat?
I don't know.
All she does is eat grass.
I don't know. She's going to have to start eating vegetables, I guess. Anyway, so we've got lots of planning, and I'm likely we won't achieve all that between now and next year, but it's something we're certainly going to aim for sure. So, and of course, Matt's been busy at work. He's been working on Katie's truck some.
He has been. Yeah. I've made a video about that. I'll have to try to see if I can get it edited up and posted. I'm lucky he's willing to spend the time because that turned into an all-day project.
Yeah, this often happens when you start a project, no matter what it is. You get into it and realize there's more.
There's always, yeah. Especially with that truck, everything we do will be an all-day type of deal with that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Granny's doing good, and she's been busy too, putting up stuff. She's been canning green beans,
Making jelly.
Making jelly.
Maybe some jelly, that was good.
Yeah, she made some jelly. She made us all last night, wanted me to come by and she'd made some individual banana puddings. They were really good. She's made them before, but she's like, we can't eat them all, come and... she'd made them for her and Paul, and she said, we can't eat them all, you come get some of them, take them home. So those were really good. It was delicious for my snack before I went to bed last night. That's what I ate, was my little individual banana pudding and a glass of milk.
I didn't eat any because I'm trying to do my sugar
Katie's
detox
trying to
again.
Be sugar-free.
Well, I've done that before where I can go, all you need is 2 weeks. 2 weeks without it, you'll break the sugar curse, and then you don't want it anymore. But you got to get through that. So I'm in the middle of that, and I cannot break it.
Yeah.
Or I have to start over, and I can't start over.
Yeah,
so.
Sugar affects Katie. Bothers her. Is why she's trying to.
Everything bothers me. I don't know why.
She's food sensitivity, but to sugar and to gluten too.
Pretty much to anything that's good, it swells me up. Is what happens. It's not good.
Yeah.
So that's okay. I'll get it figured out in another week or two. I'll feel better.
Yeah. So everybody's been busy, just like I'm sure that you have been too. I wanted Katie, though, to tell about some of the amazing stuff. She's always busy, and she's always trying new things. And for those of you, excuse me, who are new maybe to the channel that don't really know, Katie is a lapidary artist and a silversmith. Now, a lot of times in my videos, if you hear something like a hammering or something like, what's going on in Tipper's house? It's Katie. It's Katie in the basement. So she has a big rock saw down there that goes, and then of course she's got all of her other things, and there's quite a bit of hammering that goes along with silversmithing, and she's got a lapidary, what do you call your rock polishing machine?
It's called a cab machine.
Cab machine, so lots of noise. But anyway, she does very, very well. But it's always exciting to see what she's doing, and because she's always thinking about what's next, adding to her arsenal of what she does. So I've just wanted her to show this thing that she's doing now. It's so lovely. It's so beautiful. We'll show one of them, Katie.
Show this one. This one's the prettiest one.
Will you explain?
It's not done. Yeah. It's almost done, but not quite.
Let's see if you can, you touch on the screen, Katie, so it'll focus on it. Maybe.
There it is.
There it is.
Focused.
Yeah. So you can see, so that's, what is it made up of, Katie?
So the technique is inlay. So it's a rock at the top, a rock at the bottom, and a piece of metal between it. So what you do is, it's backwards. Instead of cutting a stone and then making a setting for it and then setting it, you work backwards. You make your setting first. Then you cut a stone to fit that setting, and you glue it in there with your metal. If you want to do metal, you don't have, most people do. You do the metal, you let that dry, you go back and you cut it like a rock. So you cut the rock in the setting with the metal as if it was all one piece, but it's really 3 pieces. This one is. It's a top, a bottom, and a piece of copper in the middle.
And so when you say cut, you mean you're actually meaning polished, like to somebody like me, or is it? I mean, you're not cutting it with a saw.
No, you're not cutting it with a saw, but it's kind of like cutting because you should see it's crazy what it looks like. It's all rough and jagged, and that metal might be taller than the rock, and you've got to get that fixed. So you've got to dome it and smooth it, and so to get it domed and smoothed, you do have to take it on some steel wheels. And so I should say grinding instead of cutting. It's grinding material away till you get the same shape, and then you just go ahead and polish that same kind of pretty domed shape up through all your polishing wheels, and boom, you're done.
Yeah, and so if that wasn't pretty enough, boy, we are in the dark, aren't we? The back, Katie loves to texture the back.
I do like to work on the back of stuff because it's just a nice detail to do the back.
So I love that too.
That was the first one I've done, and it's the best one I've done. I've done 2 more, and
think
it's
this
tricky.
other one's pretty too, though.
I like this one. This one's cute. It's not done. I still have finished work to do. Ideally, you do your metal work and get it how you want it first.
It's so lovely.
But I'll have to go back and work on it.
Get it to focus on that. So seeing those different rocks together with that metal just really sets it off, don't it?
It does. So that's
really pretty. This one's a work in progress, so it's not completely
almost done. Yeah, that one has 3 pieces of metal instead of just 1, and this one only has 1 piece of metal in there. It's complicated. The way that you have to do this is kind of confusing. So anyway, they're almost done. I'll finish them up and put them in my Etsy shop. It's really fun though, because it's a totally different look, a totally different thing.
So pretty
than I've ever done.
Okay, we confused the camera. I think we're back to normal. But anyway, such beautiful work. I'm so amazed.
Well, and it's like I said, it's really, really interesting. It's kind of a complicated thing, and it's the trickiest part is once you make that setting, it doesn't matter what shape it is. You've just got to be good enough to cut your rock to the same shape. It's easy when you've already got the shape of your rock and you just form your metal around it and you know, boom, that's an exact fit, so long as you form it correctly. But this time, you're just making a form, whatever you just so desire to make, and then you go backwards and cut a rock to fit it. So it's tricky. The hardest part is to get it to fit what they call your channel. I just call it the setting, but whatever. What you call the channel. It's hard to get that to fit and then get everything flush and glued in there. But it takes more time, but it can be done as long as you know,
it's
go,
really
go slow and get it done.
I would imagine, I don't know, but a creativeness, because a neat creative process for a creative like Katie to pick the colors, pick the rocks that match in the metal. So what kind of, the outside, of course, that the stuff's setting in is silver. What is that piece of metal that goes through it?
It's copper.
Copper.
The two with just one piece through is copper, and then this piece has copper and silver. It's a piece of silver, then copper, then silver.
Oh, nice.
So what you could do, you're unlimited of what you could do with this. You could do all kinds of crazy stuff and make all kinds of patterns and shapes with metal and stone. You don't just have to do it this way.
Yeah, you
could
do
go
it.
this way.
Yeah, you could do it.
It could go
way.
diagonally.
Right, yeah, cool.
If you were really good, which I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this. If you were really good, you could do something round.
Oh, nice.
That would be complicated.
That would be complicated, but that would be interesting.
Pretty much the possibilities are endless. But another thing that you can also do with it, instead of, and I'm going to try this, Lord, I bless my heart, I just ain't had the time. That's the thing, you never have time. But what I want to try, instead of doing the inlay like this, I want to make just a stone with metal. So they call it, when you glue rocks together to make a kind of a shape, that you can call that intarsia, where you're gluing them together and you end up with some interesting shape. I want to glue the metal with the rocks and do that outside of the setting, and then take it and set it like I would a rock that's already made.
Neat,
and then you'll end up with this same look. It'll be a little different, but you'll end up with this same look, but it'll be faster. I'm like, this takes so long. But it really does turn out beautiful. All
the things, though, Katie, of course, I'm prejudiced, but I think everything she does is beautiful. But I'm amazed at the rocks that the ones, whether she gets them out of Stamy Creek or somewhere, where she's found them, harvested the rocks herself, or she orders this, like the uncut rock, and then she cuts it in that saw and then, polishes it. Of course, she's doing it for her jewelry. She put them in her silversmith jewelry. But she also sells them to other silversmiths, or whoever, different kinds of jewelry artists that are using them. But I love them. I just hold them in my hand. Like I made Katie give me some of them to just lay in my windowsill and put them in a little glass bottle, and then put them in the windowsill, and all those different colors, the light just shines through them, and they're just lovely to look at, which I'm somebody that loves rocks. If you're not, you might not feel like that, but I love rocks, so I love those polished ones. When Katie and Corey was little, and we'd go, I'm sure you've been to places like this, maybe we'd go on a trip somewhere and they always have a souvenir shop, and you go in there and they had those little glass, they're just glass, but little glass colored rocks. Corey and Katie loved them, and we'd always buy a little bag of them. And those are pretty. You can even buy them at Walmart, like in a big bag to put around your plants or put inside a vase. I think those are pretty, but Katie's are so special because they are literally a rock. So it may look like it's purple and shiny, got some, highlights in it like glass, but it's a rock. It's so amazing.
It's amazing.
It is. It's so amazing.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The funnest part about it is that I'm every rock that I cut, nobody's ever seen that but me.
Yeah,
I'm the very first person that gets to see any of it. And then I show somebody, and they're like, man, that's beautiful. But that moment of, I cut the rock, I saw it,
open,
I cab it, and as you work a rock, as you get down in the layers, different things, different patterns, colors, and shapes can come out. And I'm the very first one on the planet to see that. And every rock that everybody else cuts, they're the first one too.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting.
It's really neat to get to do that.
usually Katie's rock sales that she sells, like I was talking about to the jeweler, she does on Instagram, which you can definitely find her on Instagram and do that. But you do sell some in your Etsy shop, don't you?
I do. I try to have some listed in there because I end up making so many, and then I'll have like 100 or 200 cabs just sitting around. I'm like, I gotta do something with this.
So there's just something, I don't know. I mean, everybody may not feel like that, but for me, something special about holding those and having them. Even if you just set it somewhere, like I'm not a jeweler, I'm not going to be doing that. I'd have to get Katie to make my pendant or my earrings, but just to have them and kind of lay them around in different places, I kind of like that. Maybe on your bookshelf or your windowsill or something like that. You should make it, which I don't know, that'd be complicated, but if Katie had enough little glass bottles of the same kind and then she filled them with rocks and then sell that,
that'd be cool.
That would be that's something for her to think about, being ideal to think about. But in addition to the rocks and of course these amazing things Katie's been making, this time of the year, I know you're gearing up for Halloween. She's been showing me some adorable little jack-o'-lanterns. They're so cute.
Oh, they're fun. The pumpkins.
They're so cute. They have such personality, and I'm like, how did you make that? And it has such a little personality.
They do. They end up, I give them a little smile, and so they either have 2 little buck teeth. Sometimes there'll be 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, little square teeth. Sometimes I give them like the pointed, like the triangle teeth that you usually see with pumpkins. But I don't know how I ever started doing that.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years, just this time of the year, but they're so cute. They have such personality.
They're fun. They're so fun. It just like cracks me up. It's one of the funniest things to make. And I did some ghosties one year.
I remember that.
And they kind of had some personality, but the pumpkins are the ones that have got the little, they're funny with their little faces. But I need to make some more owls. I got into doing owls too.
I love
kind of
the
for fall.
owls. It's funny how owls, when I was a girl, it was all the rage was owls. So Granny had all these owls. I don't know if any of you will remember. Of course, Katie don't. But I think it was Hoda was the name of the, kind of like home interiors today. But I think it was Hoda. It was something Oda. I think it was Hoda. Anyway.
H-O-U-D-A?
Or H-O-D-A. I don't know. Something like that. And people had parties just like they do for Tupperware, home interiors, or whatever. So Granny got into doing that, and lots of ladies in this area, and so that owls was really popular. So, a lot of the owls in Granny's house, that's where they come from.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, way back then. Like those that are on a branch, there's, I don't know if it's really plaster or plastic or what it is, but in some of the pictures that she has, that's where it come from. Anyway, it was funny. They were popular then. It's like what's old is new again, and then now owls are kind of popular. In the last few years, seems like owls are popular again.
It does seem like that. We always loved owls. I can't tell you how many, stone carved owls I have, how many wood carvings of owls. There's just, I have, 15 owls sitting on my shelf in my room. I like owls and I like hawks, but the owls were fun, and I give them little eyes. I made the pumpkins.
They were really nice. Do you have any of those now, or are you sold out of them?
It's been long since gone. I need to make some more.
Those were cute.
Got some chasing tools, and I made some, I kind of it's like chasing a repose. I don't do no repose. I don't do nothing complicated, but I would just chase it flat and make them little feathers. Kind of make it look like they had
cute. They look like
little tufts of
feathers. Yeah, those were adorable.
My favorite part was giving them stones for eyes, so their eyes are actually rocks. That's the funniest part to me, because I like to work with the rocks.
Got to get the rocks in there somehow.
I do.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'll do more of it. I'm so busy. I travel so much these days. I'm never home to do anything.
And somebody asked in one of the last videos, said, why don't you ever let Katie eat when she's for supper? I was like, well, because she's always gallivanting. She's hardly ever here. So that's
true.
why.
Or I'm in my dungeon. Last night, they're like, supper's ready. And I'm like, they know I'm not going to come up. I'm not going to come up and eat. I'm not going to eat, or I'm just going to. It's like 9 o'clock and I'm still working.
Yeah.
But, I know. I just seem to run all over the place.
Well, but you are doing some exciting stuff in your jewelry. You always do, though. Always have. I mean, it seems like yesterday was it was just yesterday that you were playing with your daddy's wire and made those little people with the yarn hair. I've still got some of those. And then you graduated to friendship bracelets. And I remember you'd try those different patterns and you'd get so mad.
Oh, I would.
She'd get so upset when she couldn't actually get them to.
I couldn't figure it out.
Whether it was the chevron or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I wish you'd just quit all that stuff. But I'm glad you didn't. I didn't tell you that, though.
I know. It was just,
I would get irate. Because I couldn't help her, because I didn't know, I had no clue of how to do it.
I just stuck with it.
But
and
you
now,
stuck with it, and you persevered, and
you
learned a lot. Taught yourself, and took classes and stuff too. Though you did.
Yeah,
both.
and you get to a point where it's like, I'm not saying I couldn't learn anything else. Of course, there's still more to learn, but you get to the point where you're like, I've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah.
So even if, like with this, even though I didn't exactly know how to do this, I thought, well, I've seen it, I know the process, I'm gonna try to figure it out. And it was easier coming to this with a skill set that I already had. So.
Yeah, than in the beginning when you were trying to learn how to use torches and learn how to...
Yeah, and I was scared.
Yeah, you were kind of afraid of the torch,
petrified.
afraid you'd burn yourself.
And I did. I've got scars and everything.
Afraid of being, melting all your silver, and you've done all that, but then you learned, you gained the skills. And you had people that helped you along the way, definitely. And you watched a lot of YouTube videos. YouTube's great for learning things.
And I just tried it. I think there's something to be said for
experience is the best. Yeah.
And if you want something and you want it bad enough, it doesn't matter that you don't have what you exactly need, the tools or the setup. You just persevere. You just will do it if you want it bad enough.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
But I could have never done it without Mom and Dad supporting me and encouraging me.
Sweet.
I needed somebody to say, hey, I know this is, but you can do this. Without encouragement and without feeling like you feel good about what you're doing, you don't stick with it. So I had, of course, a wonderful family to push me along, and I had a lot of nice people. I couldn't really say, I taught myself mostly, but I had some nice people
that showed
along
you
the way.
Tricks and tips along the way.
Kind of
advised you about what kind of stuff to buy in the beginning, and some of that worked, and in some of it somebody else advised you something else, and you found out you liked that better, which is just personal preference. It's not that nobody was steering you wrong. No. You just have to find out what
your
works,
middle ground.
Right. Works best for you.
Whatever works best for me. And it's funny, I've been to enough classes to know, I'm like, these people would shut me down. They'd be like, this is not right. This is a safety hazard. This is this. This is that.
You're not a safety
I'm
hazard.
I'm still scared of that torch. So I'm careful with it. But I know they'd be like, that's not how you do that, and this isn't how you do it. I found that sometimes when people teach, they have to go through everything. So then you can take what you need to take from it
and figure out
it out. But sometimes people are they get lost in the details, and I'm like, hey, this is my business. I don't have time. I gotta get this
like
done.
I'm going to use this saying for the rest of my life, but from Pastor Lon, what matters is at the end of the day, if you have taters in the bucket, what he was talking about, all the different ways people grow potatoes and how they do this different and do that different, and all the variety of different ways. But at the end of the day, if you have potatoes in your bucket, when you harvest your potatoes, that's really all that matters. So it's kind of like, of course you do need to be safe, and not with potatoes, but with Katie's. I guess you need to be safe with, but I guess, could you be injured with potatoes?
I don't know. You could be injured with what might live in the potato.
Or maybe how you tilled them up or something. Anyway, but y'all know what we're saying.
Yeah, you do.
But you have to find your own way. I'm a big believer in that.
And that's how I learn. I just need somebody to show me once, and then I got it.
Right.
I don't do good reading instructions from a book. I don't do good having someone show me over and over. I just need you to let me hear it or show me what the product is, and then I'll figure out how to get there my own way. I'm a very do it my own way.
Yeah, Granny taught me so much, like go back to putting up the food. And that's how I learned how to do stuff. But then once I started doing it, I was like, oh, well, I think this would be easier, even down to simple stuff, like how you set out your pots or whatever. So, like Katie said, you got to experience is your best.
Yep.
You experience it, and then you kind of see what works for you and for your kitchen or for your shop in Katie's class.
And then you can adjust and do whatever you want to do.
Do what you need to do. So we just wanted to share with you a little bit about what's going on in our lives with the excitement of a cookbook. I'm still working on t-shirts. I haven't got there yet. The cookbook's been taking up all my time, but hopefully that's almost going to be put to bed, and the garden's soon going to be put to bed. The fall garden will be coming on, but it's not really stuff that we think about putting up as much. We just eat it because there's so less of it. It's not as much production. And Katie's certainly been churning out the artwork, the creative juices.
Pumpies. When we were little, we called pumpkins pumpies.
Pumpkins pumpies. So she's been churning out the pumpies.
That's what I've been thinking about, is pumpies.
And these
inlay stuff.
Amazing inlays. Just beautiful.
I'm still heavily thinking there'd be, it would be different because it's not the same technique at all, but there's no reason that if I'm like, man, this takes so long, but I really like the way the metal looks next to the rock, there's no reason I couldn't make a cabochon with the metal in it and then set it. And that's my next thing. That's what I'm going for next, because I really like doing this. I love this technique, and I can do it, but it takes a little bit longer, and it's just a little bit different of a process. But I think I can figure it out. I think I can do it. I can do it back. I can redo it backwards. Since this is already backwards, I'll just go forwards, but kind of backwards. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that made total sense,
right? It made sense in my mind.
So we hope that you enjoyed that. And I'll be sure to leave a link to Katie's Etsy store. It's always, actually, in every video that I have in the description, there's a link to Katie's Etsy store. But we'll make sure that you can see that easily in case you want to go look for rocks or for these wonderful...
More pumpies.
More pumpies, or these wonderful necklaces, or any of the other great stuff that she's got. Katie's telling me we need to go back to work. She's got to go back to her dungeon, as she calls it, and I got to go back to the kitchen. As always, we're glad that you stopped by, and we hope you drop back by often to help us celebrate Appalachia.
Bye! Alright, that's good. I gotta blow this popsicle joint.